Hey everybody, welcome to the 1804 show, chapter 2. I'm your host, Dollar Will, and this is another episode of 1804 History. And before I start, like, comment, subscribe. Please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for future notifications, and let's get it. Yeah, so tonight I wanted to talk about a great man by the name of Medgar, who was sadly assassinated back in 1963 in front of his home. And a whole lot of people don't know who this man was and don't know that he was basically one of the first civil rights leaders in Mississippi. And I was happy to get one of the original obituaries of him. Shout out to my secretary, Nay. Shout out to her for making that happen for me. So it's just when I read about him and got the opportunity to look up some documentaries of him, he was a great man. A man of power, a man of integrity, a man of just doing what's right. And when you're trying to do what's right, you're going to have people who have a problem with that. You're going to have a people who hate you for no reason. When you're trying to do right, when you try to, make a world a better place, a lot of people going to see that as a threat. Because he was a field secretary for the NAACP. And he was the first field secretary. And a lot of people don't know this, that he was very active in the Emmett Till case. And he was in disguise, interviewing people, trying to get some witnesses who seen the crime. And he put his life on the line all the time. And not only that, he was going around a whole lot of people's homes, registering them to vote so they can get some black people in office and stuff like that. So he was doing a lot for his community. And he could have lived anywhere he wanted to live, but he chose to stay in Mississippi so he can change things. Because a lot of people who haven't lived in Mississippi or haven't been to Mississippi, Mississippi is a whole new, let's just say they have a whole culture down there. It's always been like, even when I came there, Mississippi really gave me the creeps. I can't live in no Mississippi. But, just going there, like, for family reunions and stuff, it gave me the creeps. And he just wanted to change things. He never killed nobody. He never did anything to nobody. He just wanted to have better rights for his people. And he would do these sit-ins and do these protests with picket signs. And he did a lot of speeches. And he was a devoted husband, devoted father, wife, kids, and everything. So the night of June 11, 1963, he was on his way home from doing work. And President JFK delivered an important speech on television that night about civil rights. And his wife, his 3 children, was watching TV, waiting for him to get home. So as soon as he pulled up, he parked his car in the driveway and was ready to get out. And he had his briefcase in his hand, his car keys. I'm sorry, y'all. It's really hard to tell this. But yeah, he had his car keys and he had some t-shirts that say Jim Crow must go. Then all of a sudden, a bullet struck him in the back. The bullet went through his back, went through his chest, and the bullet ricocheted into a wall. And it went all the way from the living room to the kitchen, striking a watermelon. So he completely collapsed. His wife and kids got on the floor like they were trained to do. And eventually his wife ran outside to see what it was. So his last strength of life, he crawled from the driveway into the carport, and he just collapsed. Neighbors came outside, the kids came outside, somebody fired a gun into the air, let off one shot to scare anybody who was still there. It was crazy because they called an ambulance and no ambulance showed up. He would have survived it. From what I read and what I saw, they said that he would have survived that blast if he would have had an ambulance come. But considering that it was a black neighborhood, no ambulance ever showed up. So they had to get a mattress from one of his kids' rooms, and they put him on a mattress and wrapped him up because blood was everywhere, was all over the place. So they had put him in the back seat of a station wagon, and they took him to the nearest hospital. The doctors refused to operate on him because of his color, because he was a black man. And his doctor, who was black, came up there and told those white doctors, like, hey, you better operate on him. This Medgar Evers. And they was like, really? Because they didn't know who he was. They just thought he was another Negro who got shot. So apparently the guy that shot him and killed him, his name was Byron D. LeBeckwith, who was a Klansman, who was a former Marine. And he was arrested and tried for the murder of Medgar Evers. But 2 trials resulted in a hung jury. And he was never tried. Literally in the courtroom during his wife Merle Evers' testimony that the former governor of Mississippi and Byron D. LeBeckwith shook hands right in front of her while she was giving her testimony on the stand. So he was acquitted of the charge, and there was a big parade in his honor. It took 30 years for him to be tried and convicted for the murder of Medgar Evers. But basically, Um, these episodes ain't easy for me to do because these things happen. These things occurred. These things existed. And just because we see people in black and white pictures and black and white footage and this and that, that wasn't that long ago. You know, we like to fool ourselves and say, oh, that's in the past. But the past repeats itself every day. The past is unfolding as we speak. We are still being killed out here. And people are still being acquitted for killing us. You know what I'm saying? And people just, you know, sit back and don't do anything about it. You know, it's okay now because he got a street named after him. He had a movie made after him. He had his house become a city landmark in Jackson, Mississippi. But when he was alive, he was hated. And I just feel like this. I feel like if you hate me while I'm alive, don't love me when I'm dead. Keep that same energy. Because it's just, this happens a lot. That man didn't do nothing to nobody. And he got killed for that. He got killed for doing his job, doing his good deed, by making sure that all black people in that county or the city had a right to vote, had better jobs, had better housing. But he was killed, cowardly. And what makes me mad the most is that you didn't have to kill him, bro. If you felt so threatened and so brave, you could have fought the man. You probably would have lost, but you could have fought him. But you didn't have to kill him, man. And that's the thing, like, what people don't realize is that when people who hate you, they don't ever sit back and think about who love you. They never sit back and think about who still needs you. They just want you gone. They want you out the way because you pose a threat to their society. And the killer was so bold. He was so arrogant. And he was like, well, maybe I did kill Medgar Evers, but it's up to you to prove it. To the lawyer who picked it up. Bobby the lawyer. You know what I'm saying? And it just be a lot of people who just hate good people. Who hate for people to stand up to evil and justice and unfairness. You know, we like to say that we for this person, we for that person, but our actions show otherwise. It's going to be a time where everybody show you who they are. And unfortunately, they didn't know each other. They ain't never met before until that night. The killer and Medgar Evers never met. He just was a person who took matters into his own hands and thought that he was going to be celebrated. But he was a coward. Because you a coward, you have to shoot somebody in the back when they oppose no threat. That was you trying to get into the house. You a coward. And he dies 2001 at the age of 80. But you're still a coward, man. And then you have the nerve to brag and boast about it. Like you were some type of hero. Like you did us some good, but you a coward. Anybody who shoots somebody in the back is a coward. And he was only 37 years old. 37. That's young. I know, like in the black and white pictures, we think people were older back then, but that's young. 37. I'd be 37 in 2.5 years. Like, this man didn't do anything. He was on his way of becoming 38 years old. And he was only 32 years old during the Emmett Till trial. 32. So now, like, we're like in our 30s and stuff like that. And we're not doing the things that they did. We're not. But yet, we have this energy. We have this fight only to ourselves because we think that there's nothing to fight for anymore. So we turn that energy, that enthusiasm amongst ourselves. I'm not a threat to nobody. If anything, I'm just using my First Amendment rights to speak how I feel. I just use my voice, and he just used his voice. And there's nothing wrong with using your voice. There's nothing wrong with that. And we just got to be careful with how we disrespect our elders, man. Because our elders made sure that we was able to do the things that we are able to do today. To have platforms, to be able to rap, be able to model, to be able to be content creators, to be able to receive revenue, to receive and be respected amongst men and women and children. We gotta keep on keeping these people in remembrance because, like I said, that wasn't that long ago. It was only 59 years ago, bro. Shit, that's not that long ago. 60 years ago ain't long ago. So we have to just understand that. We have to just make sure that we on the same page and that we keep everything and keep everybody from disrespecting our leaders. We got to honor our leaders who paid the ultimate sacrifice. And he paid the ultimate sacrifice. And what makes me mad is that he isn't mentioned. He isn't praised or put in top tier. So we just have to keep in mind that, you know, anybody who walked them streets and took fire hoses and took dogs being sicked on them and they bit off people's flesh and skin and, you know what I'm saying, got killed, got lynched. We have to just keep that in high regard. Like, we wouldn't be where we at today if it wasn't for those people. You know. But yeah, I'm gonna stop this video real quick. I want to thank everybody who tuned in. Thank everybody who commented. Like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you want to donate to the Cashapp, Cashapp is $ the 1804 show. And I'm out. Have a good night. Peace.